Okay, I'm just going to take up the test. A chemist wants to determine which compounds in the air are responsible for the maturation or ripening. You need to be able to understand that we're talking about the same thing. When something matures, it ripens. For the maturation of plants. He detects several compounds, and don't forget, compounds are things that are always made of the same elements. Which of the following would contribute to the maturation? Okay, so we have to remember our plant hormones that allow for ripening, and those are ethylene, that's the gas that we talked about, that ripens bananas. Okay, carbon dioxide would not be one. Oxygen might actually help to ripen things. Carbon monoxide, that's a poisonous gas, so probably don't want to be around that. Okay, in the photo above, here's the photo. The plant uses which hormone to enable it to bend toward the light? Okay, so now you have to remember that when we talked about the plant hormones, when we changed the location of light to above, the plant wants to face the light, so its leaf surface area is facing the light. And we talked about elongating the plant from one side so that it bends over, sort of like a bendy straw. When you bend a bendy straw, one side elongates and one side actually gets small. So we want to elongate the one side of the plant, and the hormone that does that extends. Remember the X in auxins extends the plant, so it would be auxins. So auxins is the answer to the hormone that enables it to bend toward the light. Okay, what is the name we give to this type of response? Okay, so don't forget we're talking about light. Okay, so light, the science word for light is photo, and response to a stimulus is tropism. Okay, so, and it says, what is the name we give to this type of response? Okay, so let's take a look. Negative gravitropism. Well, we're not talking about tropism when we're talking about, or gravitropism when we're talking about bending toward the light. We're talking about phototropism, and we're not talking about photosynthesis. Okay, so let's take a look. Is it positive or negative? Is it going toward the stimulus? Well, the light is the stimulus, and it's going toward the stimulus, so it's positive. Positive phototropism. Okay, which of the following would not help to speed up a chemical reaction? Okay, so don't forget, we talked about speeding up a chemical reaction by crushing the substance to increase the surface area. We talked about increasing the temperature so we can increase the amount of interactions the chemicals have. And when you increase the temperature, you increase the pressure. So all of those things speed up a chemical reaction. Increasing the volume would be the least likely because we're not sure what we're increasing the volume of. Okay, if we increase the volume of a solvent but keep the amount of solute the same, this will result in, okay, this is where you've got to have a mental model, okay? So let's say here's our solvent and our solute. Then let's increase the amount of solvent. So let's pour more water, say, in the Kool-Aid, okay? So you get more solvent, but you didn't change the amount of solute. That means you would sort of water down the solution so it wouldn't be as concentrated, okay? So we're actually decreasing the concentration. And let's look at, see which one of these says that we're decreasing the concentration. Okay, it says a more concentrated solution? No. A more dilute solution? Ooh, when you decrease the concentration, you actually dilute it, so that's good. A less dilute? Well, if it's less dilute, then that means you're increasing the concentration. A lower density solution? Well, we're not sure about the density, so that would be B. Okay, number 6, a sample of metal is added to an acid solution. The metal begins to bubble and the test tube begins to get colder. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So this is sort of what we did in the lab, in class. Actually, it's a combination of both. So you put the metal in and it starts to bubble and produce a gas. That's evidence of a chemical change. But actually it says that it begins to get colder. So that means it's drawing the heat in from within the test tube. So drawing the heat in, endo is what makes it go in. Remember, endo is in, exo is out. Okay. Number 7, which of the following substances would likely be a gas? Okay, so don't forget, we talked about gases having a very large volume. That's one of the natures of gases, because if you take a substance, let's say some water, and you evaporate it, it actually takes up a greater volume. If we could contain that, we would get a larger volume, because the molecules are then spread out more and interacting, moving much more quickly. Okay, so let's just look at the volume. That's all we got to take a look at. This one's 8, 16, and 86. So logic would say that 86, which is substance A, would be a gas, because it has the largest volume. Okay, which of the following represents the reactants and products of photosynthesis? Okay, you just need to remember that the reactants are carbon dioxide and water. So let's take a look. This one doesn't have carbon dioxide and water. This one does. This one doesn't. And this one doesn't. Oh, this one does. Yep, sorry. Okay, so this one is between this one and this one. And then it says the products as well. And we know that the plant makes glucose and oxygen. So there's the one with glucose and oxygen, because this one actually doesn't even have glucose. It just has some formula. Okay, so B it would be. What would a density gradient look like for the following, from bottom to top? Okay, so don't forget, we got to figure out our densities. Okay, so you could just do this visually. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just use a calculator. It's completely up to you. I will provide calculators, or I do provide calculators. Okay, so the first one is 50 divided by 84. So that's going to be less than 1. And it's actually almost like a half. So actually it's a little more than half. So I would say in my head that's about 0.6. 12 divided by 3, that's 4, whole 4. And 23 by 7, that's like 3.3. Let's say, just for example. You could actually calculate these out if you want. You're more than welcome to if you're comfortable with that. But you should be able to see that 50 over 84, 84 is almost twice 50, so it's going to be around a half. 12 divided by 3 is easy, is 4. And 23 divided by 7, that's like 21 divided by 7, which is 3. And, it's a little bit more. So I'm going to say 3.3. Okay, so it says, what would a density gradient look like for the following? Okay, so we've got the densities. And now we have to put them into a container. Okay, and we've got 3 substances, so we'll make 3 spaces. So the one that goes on the bottom is the one that's the most dense, which is substance J. The one that is the next most dense would be substance F. And then the lowest density one would go on top, which is substance M. Okay, and it says from bottom to top. So J, F, M. Let's find that. J, F, M. That's A. Okay? Okay, so now let's take a look at number 10. Which of the following is not a part of photosynthesis? Okay, so don't forget, photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast of the cell, of a plant cell, in the leaf. Okay, so, and chlorophyll, remember Phil, he's the guy that catches the light. Chloroplast is the place where it takes place, inside of the leaf, because the leaf is the food factory. The mitochondria is not part of photosynthesis. The mitochondria is part of cellular respiration. So D is not a part of photosynthesis. Okay? 11, how is cellular respiration related to photosynthesis? And what you need to remember is that photosynthesis makes the sugar that respiration breaks down. And so let's just look that up. Plants produce sugars during photosynthesis and break them down during respiration. Look at that. There's an awesome answer. Let's look through the rest just to make sure. Animals need the photosynthetic products to send to their cells. No, animal cells do not undergo photosynthesis. Animals use respiration. Plants use photosynthesis. No, animals and plants use respiration. Photosynthesis is the process of breaking down energy from respiration. No, that's completely wrong. Okay, so we were right. A is the correct answer. Okay, and the last one is the chart. We did this in class. This was the one that we did the Venn diagram on. Okay, so complete the chart, the process. Okay, so I've put a couple of answers in here for you. So you've got to look. The organelle is chloroplast, so we know that the process has to be photosynthesis. And so thereby, this one is cellular respiration. Okay, so the reactants are water, carbon dioxide, and light. The products are glucose and oxygen. And the type of organism that undergoes photosynthesis is a plant. Or if you put plankton or algae, that would be even better. Okay, so in cellular respiration, the reactants are the products, glucose and oxygen. The products, well, really all I want you to put is energy. If you put all the products, I'll be even happier. Where does it take place? It takes place in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. And the type of organisms, plants and animals. Okay, so that's our test.